UX researcher interviews at Google are not easy. However, there's one part of the loop that's way harder than it seems, yet one of the most preparable. And that's the Googleyness Leadership assessment, or Google's version of the behavioral interview. My goal is to give you a solid understanding of what this interview evaluates for UXR candidates, what your interviewers are looking for, some sample questions to practice against, and a couple of tips to crack this round. At the end of this video, I'll also share one attribute in Google's Rubric that we've seen UXR candidates consistently underestimate, and a simple path to fixing it. But before that, from the get-go, to make sure you know this information is coming from the source, I'm Nikita. I work at Prepfully. We are an interview prep startup that specializes in one-on-one coaching with folks who worked at your target role and company. At last count, we have 8 UX researchers from Google, including 5 seniors. They've helped us create this video. You can book time with our Google UXRs on the Prepfully website if you want more personalized practice. Additionally, we've also referenced the official Google documentation that gets shared with candidates who make it to this round. The documentation is linked within our interview guides for UX research roles at Google. Now, on to the Googleyness and leadership interview. First off, Google is quite open about their rubrics. Every Google interviewer assesses you on 4 attributes: general cognitive ability, role-related knowledge, leadership, and Googleyness. In many UXR loops though, there is no standalone G and L round. The Googleyness and leadership assessment gets woven through the loop. Sometimes it's a dedicated segment within a behavioral round, sometimes it's spread across your one-on-ones. Even your presentation is a Googleyness signal. How you handle the panel pushing back on your methodology, that is the test. So don't miss an opportunity to drive home your fit, even on what might seem like tangential questions. Now, let's start with some theory. What is Googleyness? In Google's own words, it's basically 4 things. 1, how you work individually and on a team. 2, how you help others. 3, how you navigate ambiguity. 4, and finally, how you push yourself to grow outside of your comfort zone. Now, if you're a UX researcher, pay close attention to that third one, because your entire discipline is about bringing structure to ambiguous questions. Your interviewer is going to expect your stories to show this in action. Vague product asks that you turn into precise research questions. Messy, contradictory user signals that you turned into confident recommendations. This is your home turf advantage in this round. We strongly recommend you use it. And leadership then? Google is explicit that this is not about titles. In reality, it's almost the opposite. It's how you've used communication and decision-making to mobilize others, including and especially when you weren't officially the leader. In fact, Google's own documentation asks, can you give examples of projects where you demonstrated leadership even when you weren't a formal manager? They want to see that you step up when the situation needs you, even when nobody asked you to, and just as importantly, that you step back and hand off when someone else is better placed. As a UX researcher, this is exactly how you operate, right? PMs, designers, engineers, leadership, people you don't actually manage but need to influence to make the right decision with your research. Now, let's talk through the ways these concepts get assessed in the interview. The questions you face will show up in 2 forms. First, past experience questions. These questions look at how you've handled a non-trivial challenge in the past. They often sound like, tell me about a time when X happened, or give me an example of when you faced situation Y. And expect probing follow-ups like, what did you do then? What was the result? Your interviewer is looking for 4 things: what you did, why you did it, how you pulled it off, and what you learned. Here's a sample question you might get. Tell me about a time a PM or a designer dismissed your research findings. How did you handle it and what was the outcome? Or another example, and this one comes straight out of Google's official prep documentation, word for word. Tell me about a time when you failed to meet a deadline. What did you fail to do? What did you learn? And Google even tells you what to consider in your answer, the root cause, and how you applied what you learned in future projects. For both these questions, I've recorded both a decent answer as well as a Google level standout answer. They're available on our website. The second format is hypothetical questions. These evaluate how you would handle a challenge you may not have encountered yet. They often go like, imagine you've been asked to do X. How would you go about this? And here Google's official documentation lists 5 things that a strong answer must show. First, your understanding of the problem. Context, clarifications, relevant factors. Second, thoughtful problem solving. Are you gathering information? Are you digging towards the root causes? Are you pulling from past experiences? Third, potential solutions. Does your solution actually answer the question? Fourth, support for your solutions. Why is this the best option? Have you done a pros and cons analysis? Success metrics? Really critical. This element gets missed by a lot of folks and it's just so important. And finally, strong communication. Structured, logical, balancing brevity in detail. So, I'm going to give you 2 sample questions to practice against. For both these questions, as well as the ones I've given before, try writing out the answers first. Then use Prepfully's free AI review tool to see how you did. It's calibrated against Google Rubrics. And only after that, go through the sample answers I've created. Like I said, both a decent answer and a truly standout answer is available on the Prepfully website. Question 1. Your research shows that a feature a partner team had spent 2 quarters building is actively confusing the users. The team is pushing hard on your sample size and your methodology. You have no authority over them. How would you handle this? Question 2. Let's say a PM comes to you 2 weeks before a launch decision and asks you to validate the product with users. You know a proper study needs more time. What do you deliver and what do you push back on? Do keep in mind though, a great answer depends a lot on your target level. A UXR can get away with a robust story around defending their methodology and communicating clearly for the first question. A senior UXR will need to show meta trade-off analysis. What would change their mind? What's the cost of being wrong in each direction and how to de-risk the decision? And beyond that, you need to show how you made the whole process better, how you set up research practices or embed research earlier in the product cycle so that these conflicts get resolved by design rather than by biased viewpoints. Right, so I have 4 tips for cracking this round. First, make sure you get super familiar with all the Googleyness attributes I've mentioned earlier. You don't want to leave the interview with your interviewer having to tick the didn't discuss checkbox at the end of your 45 minutes. Beyond these, if you're interviewing for a senior role, it becomes increasingly important to demonstrate influence at scale. Give examples of the research practices, the frameworks, and the standards you set up that enabled PMs and designers to make awesome user-informed decisions even without you in the room. And weave these elements into your answers. This can't be brute forced. Second, be concise. Your interviewer needs to tick a ton of checkboxes and they will probe with follow-ups. So give them the room to do it. If your opening answer runs past 2 minutes before your interviewer can dig in, you need to aggressively chop it down. You can practice with the Google UXR and Prepfully to make sure you don't cancel out the wrong parts of your answer though. Third, prepare your stories using the STAR+ format. Google itself recommends the STAR format, so structure your answers by describing situation, task, action, and result. But then what we've seen successful candidates do is they add the plus factor. Did you change a process? Did you mentor another researcher or level up a partner team? Did you raise the research bar of the whole org? Did you build a reusable research framework, a repository, or a practice others could benefit from? These are the details that signal you're a senior hire. Do not stick to just STAR and CAR formats. They are being used by 1 million candidates at this point, and it's just not enough anymore. Finally, the tip I promised right at the start. The attribute Google over-indexes on and UXR candidates constantly underestimate is emergent leadership. Read Google's definition of leadership carefully. It explicitly includes helping a team succeed even when you weren't officially a leader. And this matters for UX researchers especially because they're the candidates most likely to walk into the round with stories about brilliant research, the study design, the methodology, the insight. And the part that they under-index on is the story about the magic that happens next. So when you're crafting your stories, ask yourself, does the story end with the readout? Or does it end with you stepping up, driving up the recommendation through, and changing what the product team actually built? Or alternatively, did it end with you learning something that made you a better researcher, or your team better and how it made user decisions? Google wants to see that you can tie your research brilliance into something that makes their product and people better. So that's all from me. This is our guidance from Prepfully and our experts on rocking the Google UXR, Googleyness and leadership interview. Once you feel ready for some practice or just want a sense check of your prep level, you can book an anonymous mock interview with a Google UX researcher or a senior UXR on Prepfully. There's a link in the description below. We've also linked our deep dive guide, which contains the official Google documentation below. If you have follow-up questions about the interview, ask in the comments. And if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you and good luck.